Many people in the United States have watched Pat Sajak's show, Wheel of Fortune, for more than 40 years. He has been able to keep the attention of millions of people across the country with his funny and lively personality. Without a doubt, Pat has been a legend on the show, and he will always be known as one of the best game show hosts ever. Pat Sajak has recently chosen to leave the show. Sad. Leaving the popular game show after a long 4-decade run. Friends and fans of the longtime TV show have spoken about how sad they are that their favorite host will no longer be on TV every day. This has made everyone very excited, and they can't wait to see what does happen next. What did he really do to leave after all that time? Who is going to host the show from now on? Come with us as we try to figure out what led to this shocking choice, and what the future holds for Wheel of Fortune, the famous game show. He was born in Chicago, Illinois on October 26, 1946. He was born on the west side of Chicago to Polish American parents. His father, Leonard Sajak, and his paternal grandparents were not close to him. When he was young, his parents split up, and in 1956, his mother, Joyce Sajak, married Walter Backel again. His father passed away in 1961, and Sajak stopped talking to his dad's family after that. He graduated from Farragut High School in 1964 after going there for high school. After that, he went to Columbia College in Chicago while working as a front desk clerk at the Palmer House Hilton Hotel. When Sajak was young, he became interested in TV entertainment by watching Jack Paar on The Tonight Show. Jacques told the Hoover Institution in 2012, "I would sneak out of bed at night not to go out with the guys or grab a beer, but it was to watch Jack on The Tonight Show." When Sajak was a young adult, he was a lot like his role model, Jack Paar. In 1966, he got his start in the business as an announcer for a neighborhood radio station. He was a guest DJ on the Dick Biondi Show on WLS Radio, having won a competition. His teacher in broadcasting at Columbia College, Chicago, Al Parker, told him that WEDC, a neighborhood radio station, needed a newsman. It was Sajak who got the job and was hired to work from midnight to 6 in the morning. After that, in 1967, he joined the U.S. Army and did his duty for 2 years. He became a disc jockey for the Army's radio station in Saigon after being sent to Vietnam. When Sajak got out of the Army in 1970, it was hard for him to find work in his field again. Then he moved to Nashville and worked as a DJ on NBC's sister station WSM and as an announcer on their TV channel. He often filled in for the normal newscasters. Because of this, when the weekend weatherman quit, Sajak was the best person for the job. KNBC, an NBC station in Los Angeles, hired Sajak as one of its weathermen in 1977 because they liked how funny he was. Because Sajak was giving the weather report on the West Coast's most popular TV show, he got the attention of many important people, including Jack Paar, who wrote him a letter of thanks. Sajak was also seen by Merv Griffin, who makes Jeopardy, which ran from 1964 to 1975, and Wheel of Fortune, which has been running since 1975 and is still going. Griffin did what it took to get NBC to hire Sajak as the new host of Wheel of Fortune in 1981. Sajak wasn't a very well-liked person at first, which caused some trouble, but he was still offered the job. On December 28, 1981, he was the host of Wheel of Fortune for the first time. There was a new part of the game added that day. It was called the bonus round, and it gave the winner another chance to win more prizes by answering another puzzle. While he was the host, Sajak was also giving instructions to the contestants behind the scenes and telling the fans what he thought. On the show, he usually has a co-host with him. At first, it was Susan Stafford. As the contestants called out each letter, she would stand next to the letterboard and cover it up. When Stafford quit the show in 1982 to go to school for clinical psychology, Vanna White took her place. By 1988, the New York Times said that Sajak might be best known as Vanna White's co-host. White became such an important part of the show. In September 1983, Wheel of Fortune went to nighttime syndication. During the day, it stayed on NBC. This was an attempt to get more people to watch it. The show ran for 30 minutes, so only a few local stations could air it at first. The other stations had to find something to air during the second half. In order to add something to the second half hour of Wheel of Fortune, Griffin suggested that Alex Trebek, a Canadian host, take over as host of Jeopardy, and put the show up for broadcast in 1984. The plan worked. By 1986, these two shows were the most watched in reruns, going from first to second. Being on Wheel of Fortune made Sajak famous all over the country, and she was offered other shows because of how well the show did. From 1984 to 1986, he was one of the hosts of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. He was also asked to be on the Pat Sajak Show on CBS in 1989. It was a late-night show that ran until 1990. Jack Paar, who stopped hosting late-night TV in 1965, was one of the guests on the show during its short run. Sajak had to leave NBC and the daytime version of Wheel of Fortune to lead a late-night talk show on CBS. Rolf Benešky took over after him, and then Bob Guin took over after him during the move to CBS in July 1989, but Pat was still the host of the broadcast version of Wheel of Fortune in the evening. Sajak grew his business in the broadcasting industry in the 1990s, but he decided to put his money where his heart is instead of where the money is. A Maryland AM radio station called WNAV bought its broadcast license from him in 1998. One of the most important parts of his business, Sajak Broadcasting Corporation, was this. It was in 2005 that his business also got the license for WTTR, an AM radio station in Westminster, Maryland. Sajak chose to sell both licenses a few years after he bought them. The license for WTTR was sold in 2013. WNAV's license was sold in 2021 for $1,000, while WNAV's was sold for $325,000. On the other hand, Sajak gave WNAV $100,000 to help them move from the land he wanted to sell. Sajak also started two small production companies, Pat Productions and Bojack Records. These companies work with the music and TV businesses to come up with new ideas and materials. It's clear that Sajak's life outside of Wheel of Fortune is mostly in line with his traditional beliefs. He usually tells it like it is when it comes to the culture of the entertainment business, and he is very vocal about his political views. Sajak came back for a 36th season in 2018, beating out Barker, who held The Price is Right from 1972 to 2007, as the longest-running game show host of all time. It was announced on the May 8, 2019, show that Sajak had broken a Guinness World Record for this. He has won many awards, including the People's Choice Award in 1987 and the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Game Show Host in 1993, 1997, and 1998. He is also the longest-running game show host on American television media. In 2011, he won the Daytime Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award. Also, in 1994, he was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His wife, Leslie Brown, has been his wife since 1989. He married Cheryl Sajak for the first time in 1979. The marriage didn't last long, though, and they got a divorce in 1986. Leslie Brown is a photographer and used to be a model. Sajak married her in 1989. Friends put them in touch with each other, and they've been together ever since. They have a main home in Severna Park, Maryland, and a second home in Los Angeles. Leslie has been on Wheel of Fortune more than once, and she even led one of the 10th anniversary shows. In a more personal way, Pat said that getting married to Leslie made him happy and satisfied. Pat's wife, Leslie, is very loving and helpful, and she has been a big help to him at work. They have grown and cared for two children together and made their family happy. She is named Maggie Sajak, and her name is Patrick Michael James Sajak. Pat and Leslie have two children together. Patrick Michael James Sajak was born in September 1990. He finished from medical school in 2021 and is now a doctor. Maggie Brown was born in 1995. She sings country music and has been a guest on Wheel of Fortune. She filled in for Vanna White as a letter turner for a while Vanna hosted the show without Pat. Pat Sajak likes to do more than just host TV shows. He really likes sports, and baseball is his favorite. His favorite team is the Baltimore Orioles. Sajak likes to write too, and he has written articles for some conservative newspapers in the past. Besides that, he has a pilot's license and likes to fly planes for fun. In March 2012, Sajak was a guest in the broadcast box for a spring training game between the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. He talked about having called some baseball games before. As part of his media work, Pat Sajak has been in a short teaching video called The Great American Constitution. This video is shown in the famous Mount Vernon, which is owned by George Washington. Sajak plays a writer who writes about history and the Constitution. In this part, Sajak was able to combine his well-known role as a broadcaster with a character that was more educational and historical. Sajak is a Republican and had written a few pieces for the Right Weekly Human Events before he got his new job. He also writes for and hosts podcasts on Ricochet.com, a website that leans right. In 2019, Pat Sajak had surgery for an intestine blockage, which could have been the worst thing that could have happened to his health. Vanna White took over hosting Wheel of Fortune while he was healing from this accident. Since then, Sajak got better and started hosting the show again, but he often talked about how important it was to take care of his own and his family's health because he was going to retire soon. His favorite team is the Washington Capitals, a National Hockey League team. The man skated to the ice before Game 3 of the 2018 Stanley Cup Finals. He has a season ticket to see the Philadelphia Flyers. It's clear that Sajak has changed not only Wheel of Fortune, but also the whole business of game shows. He has become an icon in the entertainment business because of how professionally he makes jokes and how he can entertain both the contestants and the crowd. It is also worth mentioning that Sajak did more than just host shows. He also took part in many charitable events, showing that he is using his fame to help people and make the world a better place. He has shown that the power of his personality goes beyond the TV screen by taking part in charity events and running for office for good causes. Pat Sajak is an actor, TV star, and game show host, and more than $75 million is thought to be his net worth. He is well known for being the host of the game show Wheel of Fortune, which he has done since 1981. With a $15 million pay a year, he is one of the best paid TV hosts. The two of them only film Wheel of Fortune 4 days a month. It might not look like much work for $15 million, but since there are 4 shoot days a month, you can guess that they are very tired. A season of the Wheel of Fortune has 195 shows, which is important to remember. Besides that, Sajak and White Star were on the spin-off show Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, which started showing in 2021. A lot of people like the Wheel of Fortune slot machine, which Sajak also makes a lot of money from by licensing his picture for it. Every year, this licensing deal brings in about $15 million for Sajak in earnings and licensing fees. Recently, Sajak said that the 41st season of Wheel of Fortune will be his last. On June 12, 2023, the TV star shocked his fans by saying that he was leaving Wheel of Fortune after 41 years as host. Sajak said something about his work in a short tweet. His tweet said, "Well, the time has come. The 41st season, which starts in September, will be my last because of a number of factors. It was fun, and I'll have a lot more to say in the months to come." Thanks to everyone. Vanna White, who used to co-host the show with Sajak, was one of the first people to pay tribute to his time there. After this news came out, some people wondered if Vanna White, who had been Sajak's co-host for a few years, would take over as show host. Vanna has been on Wheel of Fortune for more than 40 years, and people are still mesmerized by her beautiful looks and smile. Even though she is better known for reading those famous letters, she has led the show when Sajak wasn't there and has shown that she can do it. Working with Pat for all these years has been a huge blessing for me. He has been a great teacher and friend to me. If the chance came up, I would definitely think about taking over as host, but Pat is irreplaceable, and it will be very hard to fill his shoes, Vanna said when asked if she would be the one to replace Sajak. In the past few years, there have also been more and more rumors that Pat Sajak's daughter Maggie could be the next person to host Wheel of Fortune. People might think that Maggie, who is 28 years old, will become the new host of Wheel of Fortune after seeing a short clip of Pat and Maggie making fun of each other during a Wheel of Fortune trivia section. Maggie's first job on Wheel of Fortune was as Vanna White's stand-in for 1 week in January 2020, when Pat Sajak had to go hospital for surgery. Then, in 2021, Maggie started working at Wheel of Fortune as a social media reporter. The latest comments that Pat made about Maggie's skills as a host have caught the attention of people who watch the show. Maggie took on the role of host during the December 2022 holiday trivia show with Pat and Vanna and asked Pat and Vanna some funny holiday knowledge questions. At the end of the December 27, 2022 show, Pat couldn't help but say that he thought his daughter did a good job as host. His comment started new rumors in the media that she has been training to take over for Pat Sajak as a star host on the TV show Wheel of Fortune. There have also been rumors that Maggie could still become a regular letter turner on Wheel of Fortune, just like Vanna White. Maggie, who writes for social media, joined the Wheel family in 2021. She was on the show more than once, both in front of and behind the camera. For now, she only has to manage the social media accounts and hasn't been given any other big tasks. There are, however, people who think that her small role on the show is the first step toward her becoming the show's host. This news doesn't come as a big surprise to people who have been watching Sajak's interviews over the past few years. In September 2022, Sajak told Entertainment Tonight that he wanted to leave the show. "We're not going to do this for 40 years. He said that the end was almost here. People began to think that Sajak might quit after he had to leave the set of the show while it was being taped on April 26, 2023. It was also clear that Pat Sajak wasn't there during the extra round. Jim Thornton, who has been a show host for a long time, took over as host. Some watchers didn't know what happened to the longtime host, and some thought Sajak was sick or had lost his job. One of the main reasons Sajak chose to quit was to spend more time with his family and take a break from the show's demands. Sajak, who is 77 years old now, said it was time for him to stop, a feeling he talked about in his public announcement last year. The new host of Wheel of Fortune will be Ryan Seacrest after Pat Sajak leaves on June 27, 2023. After 41 years on the show, Sajak is retiring and Seacrest will take over from the 2024 to 2025 season onward. Seacrest, who is known for his work on American Idol and Live with Kelly and Ryan, signed a multi-year deal with Sony Pictures Television. He will also be an associate producer on the show. The decision was backed by Sajak, who said he had faith in Seacrest to continue the show's tradition with Vanna White, who will stay on the show at least through the 2025 to 2026 season. From 1981 to now, Sajak has been the host of Wheel of Fortune. His exit marks the end of an era for the show. His time on the show with co-host Vanna White has become a beloved part of American television. Even though Sajak is retiring, he will still be involved with the show as a counselor for 3 years. This will help Ryan Seacrest take over as host without any problems.